believe me. But I can't let such doubts prevent the attempt. Someone must listen, and even more importantly, someone must understand. For it is the greatest truth of our age. Information is not knowledge. In retrospect, the pattern was there to be seen by anyone attentive enough to trace it. A remarkable series of discoveries in history, anthropology, and archaeology had made headlines for several years. But they were all, on their surface, attributable to the great advances made possible in each of those fields by the continued march and intermingling of bio and information technology. And so those of us who might have detected a controlling presence at work simply got on with our lives. Our lives. Yes, even I had a life before all this began. In fact, by the standards of modern capitalism, I had a good life, one graced by both money and professional respect. A psychiatrist by training, I taught criminal psychology in New York, the city of my birth and childhood, at John Jay University, once a comparatively small college of criminal justice which had grown during the movement toward privatized prisons that gained such enormous momentum during the first 2 decades of this century, to become one of the wealthiest educational institutions in the country. Even the crash of '07 and the resultant worldwide recession had not been enough to stop John Jay's expansion. The school has always produced America's best correctional officers, and by 2023, with mandatory drug and quality of life punishments so stringent that fully 2% of the nation's population was behind bars, the United States needed nothing so much as prison guards. All of which allowed those who, like me, taught the headier subjects at John Jay to be paid a more than decent salary. In addition, I'd recently written a best-selling book, The Psychological History of the United States, the second of my degrees being in history, and so I could actually afford to live in Manhattan. It was those 2 areas of expertise, criminology and history, that brought a handsome, mysterious woman to my office on September 13th, 2023. It was a grim day in the city, with the air so still and filthy that the mayor had asked the populace to venture outside only if their business was urgent. This my visitors certainly seemed to be. From the first it was obvious that she was profoundly shaken, and I tried to be as gentle as possible as I led her to a chair. She asked in a hushed tone if I was indeed Dr. Gideon Wolfe. Assured that I was, she informed me that she was Mrs. Vera Price, and I recalled instantly that she was the wife of a certain John Price, who'd been one of the movie and theme park industry's leading special effects wizards until he'd been murdered outside his New York apartment building a few days earlier. Murdered, I might add, in a particularly unpleasant way. His body had been torn to such tiny pieces by some unknown weapon that only recourse to his DNA records had made identification possible. I offered my condolences and asked if there'd been any progress on the case, only to be told that there hadn't been, and would probably never be. Not unless I helped her. They, it seemed, wouldn't permit it. Wondering just who they might be, I continued to listen as Mrs. Price explained that she and her husband had had 2 children, the first of whom had died, like 40 million other people worldwide, during the Staphylococcus epidemic of 2006. The Price's second child, a daughter, was now in high school in the city, and even she, Mrs. Price claimed, had been threatened by